Welcome to the program once again. Here is The Sheet, and here is Greg Wyshynski from ESPN and ESPN.com. Greg, it's always good to have you aboard today. We have a lot to present and a lot to dissect, and also a very special guest coming up at the bottom of the hour. So before we get right to what's on the program today, I want to open up with one line, and then we're going to do the intro, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. Okay?
Okay. You're so. I love when you get business-like. It tells me that we have a guest of some import on the show today, and we have to be very, by the book. No dalliances into foraging the forest for psychedelic drugs, or who played on the 1967 Sarnia Sting. No, we are forging ahead on schedule.
How about the 0-50 Sarnia Legionnaires? Oof, that was a story. Okay, this comes from.
I knew I was going to do it.
My good friend in the GOJHL, like over 50. It's really not good. This is from my good friend Bob Makowitz, who I've known since we were 12 years old, playing High Park Little League in the West End of Toronto. Makowitz's Law. Okay, he's one half of the Mako and Cause podcast. If the best thing about your sports organization is the game, you're moving backwards, not forwards. Get into that in a couple of moments, along with a quote by Pat Maroon from a couple of days ago that Shane and I kicked around on Tuesday in your normal time slots. But let's get right to the program for today. Coming up on today's show, the Blueprint, as always, presented by FanDuel. Download the app today and play your game on FanDuel. From ESPN and ESPN.com, he is the one and only Greg Wyshynski. He is aboard. Today, we'll talk about Schmaltz extending. We'll talk about this. I think we're going to spend a lot of time talking about the Ottawa Senators today, folks. I'll be honest with you. Max Lapierre has got a new program, post-game show for the Montreal Canadiens games. We'll talk to Max, former NHLer from La Poche Bleue. Yes, we will talk about Jacob Fowler and his incredible hips. 32-save win yesterday for the Montreal Canadiens over the Ottawa Senators, the new program called Hockey with an Accent, following your Montreal Canadiens games. In the meantime, let me follow this up. Not that I'm like all furrow-brow and serious about this, but it is interesting. This is on the heels of Pat Maroon on Overdrive. We showed it the other day, talking about how, there are 25 guys in the 25 media members in the dressing room, and it's annoying. And that one. Okay, so further to that, okay, and further to the point about if the best part about your sports organization is a game, you're moving backwards, not forwards. A good game is not enough. The NFL has a great schedule. Its business plan makes one day a week special, even though it's more than just one day a week. Scarcity drives interest. NCAA football is an incredibly good development league. Kids come in already superstars, and frankly, it looks great on TV. Basketball has gone all in on socials, the clips, but also the narrative. The NBA is one giant soap opera. I spend 3 times the amount of time listening to pods about the NBA as I do watching the NBA. Baseball has lost its specialness, which used to be summer. It's the only thing going. Hockey has no special distinguishing strength other than the game itself. That used to be okay, but it's too hard to cut through now. I mean, it's growing, but not at the rate that its real competition is growing, digital platforms and all. Hockey did have toughness. It was a sport that was outside the genteel decorum with a code. That's cowboy mythology. And it plays great in the heartland, but they've run away from it to embrace a TV package to make everyone rich, and they did. But those deals are only going to get smaller, not in 5 years, but in 20. It's an attention economy. Everything is about attention. Look at how guys don't want to play for the Leafs. Too much attention. Well, good luck with that. I thought about this after your pod yesterday and the discussion of attention as a problem. Seriously, if that's the case, shutter your business. Generating attention is the only game in town. The point that I was making on this one on the heels of the Pat Maroon quote was every team craves this. Maybe not the players, but the owners and certainly the league. They don't want 25 guys in the room. They want 50 in the room like the NFL has, because it gets them. When you have 25 people in your room, it's because you have that many more people that are curious about that team and want to hear too much information about them, and that's only great for your bottom line. The attention economy in sports, Greg.
You've given me a lot to deal with here, because this was written to you after yesterday's show.
Tuesdays. I didn't do a show yesterday, sir.
Tuesday show. There's so much wrong with the premise of this entire thing before we even get to the attention economy. The ratings are up across the board for the NHL this year. The audiences are growing. Clearly, there's something beyond the game that's attracting them.
It's getting there. I would argue that it's getting there.
Hold on.
Okay.
I would proffer that one of the things that attracts people to the NHL now are the players. And, say what you will about the attention economy and say what you will about the NHL's marketing, because I think it's been fairly ham-fisted for most of my life. You have to admit that they've done a better job maybe of focusing on the personalities of the players and trying to draw them out. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the commercial with the consultant in front of the room and the guys seated in the audience and they're all mocking him for not knowing hockey terms.
Yeah.
Right. But there's probably somebody out there that connected to that commercial more than I did. I think that social media and fan culture has certainly helped increase attention on certain players. There's something happening, and maybe it's heated rivalry, maybe it's the international hockey aspect of it. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something beyond the game itself that's clearly attracting new fans to the sport. So let's just put that out there. The toughness part of it, I just don't buy that premise at all. I understand that for people like us, what are you going to say?
Just pause for 1 second. You know where that conversation came from? If you go back and read the game report at NHL.com about Sunday's Tampa Buffalo game, it's not talked about?
But that's not real. That's state-run media.
That's the game.
That's chairman Mal bullshit.
No, I understand.
But for our entire lives.
I get that, but that would be like talking about Four Nations on the Saturday night in Montreal, Canada, USA, and not mentioning the 3 fights, because that was the story on Sunday.
But this is not anything. Listen, if your argument is that the NHL should embrace the physicality of the game and market it better.
Yes.
I completely agree. And this is a conversation that we've had for 15, 16 years. And it's a conversation I've had as a guy writing about hockey since the 90s. My big problem with Bettman in the early years, among a lot of other things, including trying to relocate my team during a cup run, was that he was signing off on marketing for this league that had players pirouetting through the offensive zone like Peter Forsberg at a time when A, there was no offense because teams are playing the trap, and B, the 2 biggest booming sports were the National Football League and MMA. And those 2 things had something that hockey was running away from, which is physicality. So if you want to make the argument that the NHL needs to embrace physicality in its marketing and not use its state-run media to ignore things that happened in the Buffalo-Tampa game, completely agree. However, the premise that hockey isn't defined by toughness, I think, is completely asinine. You mentioned Four Nations. Yeah. Four Nations was the biggest crossover moment for hockey maybe in the last 15, 20 years, and until the Olympics. And that was defined by the fights that happened in the first USA Canada game. When you hear people outside of the hockey media talk about hockey players, the defining trait of hockey players is their toughness, to the point where when Steve Kerr, the coach of the Golden State Warriors, was talking about how the NBA should reduce the number of games they have in their season, the response from Stephen A. Smith on the very ESPN airwaves on which I very occasionally grace was to point out that that's not something you hear from hockey players. He didn't point out that the hockey players will now be playing 2 additional games on their schedule beginning next season, but he pointed out the juxtaposition between the toughness of hockey players and what the NBA is going through. And so I would argue the premise that hockey is no longer defined by its toughness to be completely out of step with how hockey is actually defined.
To the point about the toughness and not reducing games, I find that the biggest conversation around that in hockey, and it's never going to happen because they're adding 2 games and players aren't backing up because they got 50-50 revenue split. I think the game is doing itself a disservice by playing this many games. And you would actually have a better product. You would actually have better quality hockey and fresher players and healthier players if you reduced the amount of games. To the point about them not leaning into the toughness or not being defined by that, that comes just by watching the game. That's not anything that the NHL does. That is completely fan-driven and viewer-driven. That's not anything that the league itself is comfortable leaning into. The one thing that I did mention the other day, too, is the fear of lawsuits for all of this.
CTE.
That
I was just going to bring that up. I mean, that's obviously
massive one. And that's why, like, when I read that piece on NHL.com after the Tampa Buffalo game, I go, I don't like it. It's not, accurately calling balls and strikes here, but I get it. Because the NHL doesn't want to be looked at leaning into violence, which leads to players not being able to, tie their own shoes when they're 45 years old.
If their commercials looked like a Don Cherry Rock'em Sock'em VHS, like in 2026, that would be Exhibit A in any lawsuit that gets filed against the league for CTE. Easily. You're completely right. And I think that's part of it too. Listen, how
about the attention thing?
I was going to get back to the attention thing. But okay, now I remember what I was going to say before we get back to the attention thing, which is that I am also in favor of reducing the regular season and increasing the number of games we get in the postseason. That's really what I want to see. Give me a 5-game regular season and then a 79 game. Postseason.
We got a pretty accurate snapshot here of what this league is all about. Let's start the postseason.
He works for a rights holder, folks. Now listen, I agree on the attention economy. In the sense that hockey has to work very hard in order to capture a share of it. I think there are some things that are happening around the game that are helping hockey do things that are not the NHL's doing. Heated rivalry. The way the Olympics played out, the Four Nations fights, some of the personalities of the players. I mean, we go back to the way that the NHL was saved from itself after the 05-06 or after the 05 lockout. It was saved from itself because they lucked into having Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, and the resurgence of some very important franchises at a time when they needed their asses saved. Chicago, Boston, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. And some of that's happening now. Look, the attention economy becomes a lot easier when you have teams that draw attention. And one of the greatest things that's happening right now is the fact that the Buffalo Sabres are relevant again. And that's reflected in every single game they play on national television. And that'll only keep growing when people realize that this is a fun team in a crazy sports town, and it's going to be a party when you watch them. The environment of that Tampa game was as much of a character in it as anybody throwing a punch.
So I was in Buffalo for 2 days this week. And
you're at the Celebrini game, right?
I was at the Celebrini game. By the way, Celebrini and Will Smith are going to be a problem for a long, long time. That wasn't the best of all possible games, but man, Celebrini looked good again. But as I was talking to someone about this morning, this person said to me, we're talking about the Buffalo experience, and this person said, this is someone from another team, said, it looks like New Orleans in February. And it's true, like everybody in Buffalo, like my Uber to the rink and away from the rink, that was the conversation. And the again, this is all purely anecdotal, but the whole city is just like Sabres, 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 Sabres right now in Buffalo. Like it's fantastic. This is my Uber driver from the hotel to the rink getting there was talking about he hasn't been to a game. And he's 70 years old. And so he was back there for like when they got the franchise in 1970, et cetera, and the run to the Stanley Cup in 75 and everything since. So he hasn't been to the game in like 15 years. And his daughter had tickets for the game on Sunday. And she ended up going out of town with her husband, so left him the tickets, and him and his wife decided, we're bored, we got nothing else to do. And ever since then, he was scrambling to get tickets to go watch the San Jose Sharks, but he couldn't because they were sold out.
There you go.
Again in Buffalo. It is like, honestly, I had forgotten how much of a cool vibe it is going to a Sabres game where it's relevant. and it's cool because those fans are insane. It was fantastic.
So
right off the hop.
The last thing I'll say about the attention economy thing, well, three things real quick. First of all, the media is a big part of this, and the fact of the matter is that when you look at what's happening, for example, in Washington D.C. with the Washington Post, I mean, there's no getting around the fact that there's just less media, and so then it falls onto these teams to either generate their own media, in which case they need to be a little bit bolder than, as we've talked about before, the state-run media that you typically see from teams in the league, and then the rise of alternative media sources. And that it tends to be in the past blogs, raise his hand, or probably now influencers, and the league trying to be a little bit more liberal with who they allow to come in and ask questions in press conferences that get sent around by crusty old media people and mocked. But I'll say this though, like when you get past the mainstream, and the NHL still fights for its slice of the pie on nightly newscasts and things of that nature. And definitely on sports talk radio, where the gatekeepers refuse to even talk about hockey because they think it's going to chase the audience away, which is a self-fulfilling prophecy because hockey fans don't go where they're not talking about hockey. But I digress. I do think that this is a statement that you've gotten.
Yep.
I think this is a statement that you've gotten. It's a little bit out of step with where we are right now, because I do believe that we're at a moment where you've got a number of hockey players in the zeitgeist that have popped the bubble. I mean, people talk about Matthew Tkachuk's on Sean Hannity's podcast today, talking about, unfortunately, how he's hoping to have a son. Congratulations to Matthew and his wife, but not really identifying that if he does have a daughter, she can also play hockey. Jack Hughes, major celebrity because of the Olympics, and also because he's dating Tate McRae. Like there are players that are now emerging into the pop culture lexicon and the the ecosystem that we didn't even have 5 years ago.
You know what's interesting about that too, that I was thinking about the Tate McRae Jack Hughes situation? When Wayne Gretzky was dating Janet Jones, it wasn't this, like, it was like talked about, but it wasn't like talked about in like a sort of tabloidy kind of fashion. It was just like blah blah blah, who happens to be dating Janet Jones. It wasn't like this, right? I'm not saying like one's better than the other. As a matter of fact, for the popularity of hockey, this is a lot better. The way that it gets covered. I think that I really do think that, and I was making this point with Shayna the other day. Once again, much like in 2004-05, when there was no NHL. We always make the mistake of saying there was no hockey. There was hockey. It just wasn't at the NHL level. You remember, like, the sport was kept alive online. Like, the sport was kept alive by the fans. Like, the NHL is blessed by having fans that will keep this alive even if they go away for an entire season.
Right.
Or for half seasons. And I still think that this, in a lot of ways, is still being kept alive by its fans.
Mm-hmm. So the key to the attention economy is having more of them. It's like the old knock on the Devils. The Devils have the best fans. You just wish there were more of them. And I think the NHL is sometimes in the same boat. The NHL is the best fans. It just needs to be more of them. And what we've seen in the last year, undeniably, is that there's more of them. And hopefully they stick around. Hopefully they aren't chased away when they find out the politics of many of the players. Hopefully they aren't chased away by people in the upper deck that mock them for not knowing how icing works. It's a very exciting time for hockey in the sense that it's getting more attention than it's gotten in a very long time for all the reasons we stated before. But it's like I'm watching season 50 of Survivor, Marek.
Oh, God.
And there's that moment in the beginning of any Survivor season when they start making fire. And they rub those little flints together, or they use several pairs of eyeglasses to focus the sun's beams on a little thing of straw in the hopes that they see smoke. We're at the part where we get the smoke and a couple flames, and it's our job to keep it flaming, those flames going. It's our job to not allow them to peter out, because then what? We don't get to eat. So let's keep the fire burning.
So here's my other point. I'll stop on this one. The other point that I was trying to make about players that complain about too much media, I don't want to hear any of those players talk again about growing the game, because that's what comes along with growing the game. Stop talking. Oh, it's important that we grow the game, so we're gonna go do this exhibition game here, and we're gonna do this because we're interested in growing the game. Part of what comes along with growing the game is 25 guys in your room. So if you're going to complain about that, don't tell me about growing the game. Just stop. Just stop. Just be quiet. Stop.
I think Pat's problem was that he hasn't played in Toronto, and unless you've played in Toronto or played in Vancouver, like you can speak about those media landscapes with some authority, and I think that there are people that just dismissed what he said because he's never had to play there, and sorry, but the media landscape in St. Louis is a bit different than the media landscape in Toronto. But I also, not to belabor the point, Marek, but I did find it to be kind of weird that some people were dismissing the idea that there isn't like additional pressure because of the media coverage in these Canadian cities. Like, are you dismissing that idea?
Of course there is.
Okay, just checking.
But to the point about like embracing attention economy, like there are, and again, I will kind of take a shot at my own country here. There's a lot more American players that embrace that than Canadians. For whatever reason, Canadians are really uncomfortable with the idea of the spotlight being on them for anything that they do outside of the game itself.
Right.
So
well, I mean, we would need a 5-hour podcast about breaking down the norms of hockey culture. You know, the logo on the front, not the name on the back, the cowardice with which they approach speaking out of turn. I mean, look no further than the situation in Calgary before the season, right? Yeah. With who's the young defenseman? I'm spacing on his name.
Zane Parekh. Zane Parekh.
Yeah, Parekh. Yeah. You know, and that whole thing where he had to like apologize to his teammates for being like, guys in the league don't talk enough. Oh my God, what a sin. And so like, you know,
yeah, welcome manager.
We could go down this rabbit hole for days on end about what has to change. But you're right. There needs to be kind of like a partnership between the players and the entities that cover the players, and also just being not afraid to put yourself out there. And the thing that gives me hope, is once
Jack
again
Tate McRae.
No, not Jack using Tate McRae. Jack's not the problem. Like I wish Jack talked to us more in the media sometimes, but what he does, he's fantastic. No, what gives me hope is our boys Celebrini and Smith talking to that wackadoo on the street in New York at the coffee shop.
It's really good,
and giving her the kind of material that the NHL and its partners try to generate from these guys every single year, never get it, and it took a lady on the street being like, "Give me a twirl, Sonny," to feel like getting the thing that we wanted to see and the personality we wanted to see. So I guess what I'm saying is like, invite more people that aren't hockey media to cover the cover hockey. Make these guys uncomfortable, and you might end up getting gold.
Might end up getting some good stuff. Okay, Max Lapierre is coming up here in a couple of moments, but before we get there, Ottawa gets picked back. Is this Kovalchuk Part 2?
Once can be an anomaly, twice is a trend. And I think the message being sent by the National Hockey League to anybody who gets a first-round draft pick taken away for bad behavior is just wait it out, baby. Because the Devils
something has to happen.
A first-round pick.
Something has to happen.
It was
ownership change.
Kovalchuk went to Russia, and in this case, Andlauer took over the team, and Dorian got fired within days of the pick being docked. Again, I agree. In both cases, there was a justifiable reason, but I mean, all they're saying is just like, give us a reason, and we ain't going to make you give up a first-round pick.
Tell the St. Louis Blues that. Now that's from a way different generation of offer sheets.
That's a way different generation.
Shanahan and Steve. Okay, yeah.
No, but honestly, like as much as
hang on a second, because you know who still did get dinged and had to forfeit their pick? Coyotes. When they ran those kids through their own personal combine and then got dinged, was it a first and a third? There was no look the other way and tisk and slap on the hand and now run along, cute little Phoenix Coyotes. There wasn't that. They did get those picks taken away. So it has happened.
Yeah, because the NHL hates the Coyotes.
Hates the Coyotes. they bent over backwards and like were the custodians of the code
to save the market. But ultimately they're like, this is.
Do you want to?
Do we have to go back to our reputations on the line to save your franchise, and this is how you repay us?
Do we need to go back to the days of Judge Redfield T-bomb, sir? Do we need to go back to those days?
In the Senators' case, like they clearly did everything they needed to do, and even Andlauer during that press conference when they fired Dorian was just like, why is this my mess? Like, I had nothing to do with this shit, you know. Like, and so I appreciate that they remedied it. I think it's fine the way they remedied it. I do think it's going to be hilarious at the draft lottery when the Senators win the first overall pick and then have to give it up.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Can you imagine?
Cool stuff.
That'll be part of Gavin McKenna lore going forward. By the way, how do you like? I don't know if this was just a Buccigross thing or if this is now becoming canonical. But like Gavin McKenna as the new Nikita Kucherov has become sort of like something that's crossed my timeline 5 or 6 times in the last week.
Well, the way that he's played, I mean, I think that given the nature of who he is and how he plays, whoever drafts him first overall, we're assuming still that he's going to go first overall. Like, that's what you're hoping for, because he is that style of player that like pull up under the blue line, scan, and find the perfect play. Like, that is the style of player that Gavin McKenna is. Is he going to be Kucherov? Is he going to be Kane? I don't think so, but that's the style of player that he very much looks like. Now, mind you, and I don't know how, I mean, it just might be maturation or they broke him somehow. Penn State broke him to fix him, but he looks like so different now. Because everybody talked to a lot of operators and college coaches at the beginning of the year. I'm like, okay, how long is this going to take? And the answer back was always, well, however long it takes to break him. Because what he did in junior hockey wasn't going to be able to do in college.
I know Max is waiting, but like real quick, but is that by virtue of the competition that he's playing?
I think that was he needed to change the style of how he played, and also get used to the idea of A, what worked in junior hockey isn't going to work here, and B, just because you're Gavin McKenna, like you don't have a history here, and don't be surprised if you don't find yourself on PP1.
Yeah, that's just me fishing for more compliments about how the NCAA is really the place where all these Canadians should be playing.
For some, definitely it is. Absolutely it is. Like I said, when this whole thing first happened, like, congratulations, college hockey, you won. You're top of the development pyramid. Like, that's not exactly a secret. Anyway, we'll pick up on that, but to your point, let's get to Max. He is co-host of La Poche Bleue and a new program, post-Montreal Canadiens games, and a lot to get into from yesterday. Max Lapierre joins us here on the program. Max, first of all, congratulations on the new program. How are you? Because you need more things.
I'm good yourself, right? Guys? Yeah, of course.
Good.
I need to be busy.
Well, listen, the one thing about, and we were talking about, the Maple Leafs and the Vancouver Canucks a second ago, and the sort of the economy of attention. In Montreal, as you well know, everything times 2. It's the attention en français, comme on dit, and also in English as well. So the attention economy has always been strong in Montreal. What did you make of, just sort of wide brush thoughts on yesterday? Jacob Fowler with just a stunning performance as well. What did you take away from yesterday's game? To me, that was all about Le Gardien de But.
Yeah, guys, all calm is he in front of the net for a young goaltender just coming in at the end of the season like this. I feel like I played with Carey Price, obviously. I feel like it's kind of the same path a little bit. Like he played a little bit in the minors, then is winning some games, looks confident right now. And I feel like the team in front of him plays a different way. Like I feel like the teams know, the guys, they know there's a superstar coming, and he showed it last night with the saves at the end of the game. I feel like he was right there. The Sens could have tied up the game, but what a save at the end. And I feel like he was playing the puck a little more tonight as well. So for me, that's a sign that he's confident. And it's going to be a tough decision because Dobesh has been playing well. He's been winning games. But if you look at the structure part of it, I feel like Fowler technically looks really, really solid. So we've been talking about who's in net between Montembeault and Dobesh, and now I think for playoffs we're going to talk who's going to be between Fowler and Dobesh again.
Agreed. Greg?
First of all, congratulations on the podcast. Yet another ex-professional athlete stealing a job from an out-of-shape journalist, but I think it's going to be a good show.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
I wanted to ask you about their trade deadline, because it seemed like there were some people that were really, I don't want to say upset, but disappointed that Kent Hughes didn't do more. And then there were some people that said this was exactly what they should have done at the trade deadline. What were your thoughts about the Canadiens deadline?
It would have been nice to go get some toughness a little bit, or some heavy players, whatever it's up front, right defenseman. But I think the main thing with Kent Hughes is he's following the plan, and it's pretty clear that they don't want, not that they don't want to win this year, but this is not the year when they just go all out and they get anybody just to try to play an extra round. I feel like they love the core players. They have a good young group of players. They don't want to destroy that, because it's tough right now, but at the end of the day, you want to win for 15 years. You don't want to win for one season and go back out of the playoff. And I think when you look back and the emotion is out of it, it was the right decision. We're going to wait for this summer. We're going to have more time to build some things solid. And I feel the chemistry within this group as well. Like, things are going well. Guys have fun together. Like, you don't want to destroy that at the end of the season. I feel like when a move happens in the summer, it's kind of, everybody's ready for it. Everybody has time to think about it. If you're mad because somebody might take your spot in the lineup, you have time to digest. And when the training camp starts, everybody is happy and everybody knows their role. And it's not like it's happening out of nowhere. I feel like it might be the better time to move.
Yeah, let me pick on that for a couple of seconds here, because I thought that, like, my point about this year in the Eastern Conference is the Shark is out of the pool. You know, like, Florida's not here. Like, this is okay, everybody. Florida's coming back next year, right? So, like, okay, everybody, the Shark's not in the pool. Like, this is your chance to go all in. And it seemed like nobody in the Eastern Conference really wanted to embrace that at all. Yeah. Like, is there not a sort of sense of, because I look at the Montreal Canadiens and I think back to the Winston Churchill quote about this is the end of the beginning. And that's what I look at with the Montreal Canadiens. Like, the beginning part of, like, putting this all together, like, that's done. Like, that's done. Yeah. Like, Montreal Canadiens aren't going to draft, like, 5th overall anymore. Like, those days are done. Like, that beginning part is over. Now you're into this second phase. I don't know. Like, so the Panthers are out. The beginning of this thing is done. Maybe you overpay a little bit, but you're investing in experience for all those other players that are going to be, to your point, are going to be here for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, you're right. And it's so important for a young player to play some playoffs game. I feel like you play one round and it feels like you played a full season. Like, this is where you grow as a player. This is where you learn about yourself as well. Like, when the pressure is on and you're not allowed to make a mistake on the ice and there's no room and the game is frustrating, this is where you grow as a player. And the Caulfield and Suzuki went through it. Their first year, they went to the Stanley Cup Finals. So these guys are okay for me. We know what they're made of. Now it's the other group, Slavkovsky, Demidov, Hudson. You know, last year they had a tough matchup in the first round. Probably the worst possible matchup for this group, the Washington Capitals, with Tom Wilson, Ovechkin, a heavy team, you know. This year might be the same, guys. Like, if they face Tampa Bay is a tough team. Buffalo is a tough team. Boston is a tough team. So it's going to be the same thing, which brings up the next subject, that the toughness issue is going to need to be fixed at one point. And I don't think it's a matter of one player, because you guys know, you watch enough games, like, it's team toughness is not about bringing one big heavy guy and the other team is going to be scared, or dressing Jack-Eye 8 minutes a game and then he has no impact on the game. You need to find toughness everywhere in your lineup. And that's the only part where I have a question mark, because I look down in the minors, I look all the prospect we have. Obviously there's Florian Jack-Eye who plays a really tough game, but except for this guy, like, I don't know who's going to be on the top 6 or on the third line or a top 4 defenseman that is going to be scary to play against every night.
Well, since Marek brought up the Panthers, I will ask you this question. Who do you believe was the more annoying team to play against? The Canucks team, where it was you, Kessler, Burrows, Bieksa, or this current Florida team with Marchand, Tkachuk, Bennett, and the rest?
Ooh,
I'll go with Florida because they won, right? That's the part where we fell. But this is hockey for me. It's all about passion, and I feel like you see what happens when you bring somebody in the leadership group that plays the right way, how far it can go in an organization. I mean, they traded Huberdeau, who had 115 points that year.
Yep.
People were like, what are they doing? Like they're trading a 115 point a season guy for Tkachuk, and they give Uyghur as well as as an extra to Calgary, right? So, but then you change the culture. Everyone plays a different way. Like you look at a guy, for example, like Ekblad. He's a big, strong defenseman, but he was never playing that tough or dirty or cross-checking people every single night. Now he does it, and Bennett, you add Bennett, and Barkov is a heavy guy. So the team identity now is it's easy to say like they're tough and they're dirty, but this is not what makes the Florida Panthers a good team. They're just a bunch of guys that plays the right way every single time, whatever it's physically, defensively, under the skill part, when it's time to score a goal, the structure, they're well coached. So sometimes a little less points or skills and a little more character is important as well.
You know where you're seeing that right now? This is like an old Adams division conversation. You know, where you're seeing that now is Buffalo Sabres. You know, Tage Thompson gets hit, and here comes Zach Benson. Zach Benson.
Yeah.
Like here comes Luukkonen. Like, you know, Rasmus Dahlin's getting, you know, punched out by Brandon Hagel, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's charging out of his net to go chase him down to the blue line. Like, I think that's what you're talking about.
Max, to your point though, like that's been the secret sauce for the Panthers, right? Like the core of that team is the kind of player other teams have to go find at the trade deadline. Miserable. And I think the Bruins team that you guys lost to was the same way, where the core of that team is the same way. And to your point about Montreal, that's the trick. Like if your core is not that, you have to either change your core or find ways to get maybe that like B tier to be the tough tier, because it's really hard to change a team's DNA otherwise.
Yeah. Or the other option is the team has to buy into, okay, we need to be more physical to play hockey. And you know, like me, it's team toughness that is annoying to play against. Like, for example, when we were playing against Boston in the finals, you know that Chara and Lucic, they're going to destroy you every shift. They're going to hit you. You expect that. But when the skill players like Marchand, Bergeron, like whoever is playing and they're considered like a skill player, they start hitting you and cross-checking you. This is when it's annoying and it gets you out of your game. You're like, every single shift, it doesn't matter where I'm at on the ice, there's somebody who will disturb my game or will be physical. And this is where they need to learn as a team. Caulfield, maybe he won't hurt anyone if he hits, but if he hits every single shift, this is annoying. Anderson, if he hits every single game, that's another thing. We have a guy that can play this type of role. We have our own Tom Wilson in a way in Montreal. I'm not trying to compare the two players, but if Josh Anderson would decide to play this type of game every single night, it would change the picture a little bit. But this is not happening right now.
Let me ask you about one player as well. And listen, we all know that they need to make room for Texier in the lineup. Like, he looks so good.
I agree.
And you go up and down the lineup and you say, okay, so who comes out? And the name we keep coming back to is Brendan Gallagher. What do you like? Again, like, I do not envy Marty St. Louis' decision here whatsoever. But knowing that Texier has to be in this lineup, is it Gallagher?
I have no idea, guys. I've been thinking about it for a while now. Like, and every time Gally comes up with something new, he fought last game against McCabe, a way bigger guy. He shows up. Like, it's tough. Like, this guy has been bleeding for this logo for many, many years, and I've watched pretty much every single game in the last 15 years, and there's not one night this guy didn't show up. It never happened once that you look at Brendan Gallagher and you're like, well, he's not working tonight. It doesn't happen. Like, he's all out every single shift. So maybe that's the one guy for Texier, because I think Texier is really skilled. And every single time he got the call, he's performing. Again, last night, big goal. Yeah. But, guys, what do you tell him? Let's say you're sitting down, you're Marty St. Louis, you sit down with Gallagher in the office, which there's many parts to this discussion. First of all, Marty was a heart and soul type of player. Then you have a veteran sitting in front of you, and he's been through the whole rebuild. He had some tough season. He was there to support the young guys, and now that the product is not finished, but we're right there, you're going to tell him, hey, Brendan, you're not going to play in the playoffs.
Oh, man, that's a hard...
No idea.
Hard
I have no idea. I don't want to be Marty right now.
That's
what would you guys do? What would you guys do, honestly?
You play your best lineup. You can't stand on sentiment, man. Like, that's why I liked what the Capitals did with John Carlson. Like, as much as you want to keep that guy around for the Ovechkin farewell tour or whatever, and have a certain amount of loyalty to a guy, if you have the chance to maximize the return for him at a hot deadline, you do it. And I love Galley.
I got a curveball.
Okay.
I got a curveball for you.
Okay.
Like, I'm 100% agree with you with Washington, but what happened in New York, right? I know it's a different situation where you got the Rangers. There's some veteran players that you might not be happy with, but when you took them out of the lineup, it destroyed the whole thing. Like, they've never been the same team anymore. Let's not forget, we were talking about a team that could win 2 years ago.
I think that was more sort of how it was handled too, like the way that they ended up getting rid of Barclay Goodrow, and how they got rid of Jacob Trouba. I think it was like, again, like this comes back to like just how delicate you have to handle this. Mm-hmm. Like I do understand, like to Greg's point, I understand that you got to ice your best lineup. Like at the end of the day, hey man, you got to ice your best lineup too. At the same time, here's the other thing: when you're handling veterans, other players are allowed to watch what you're doing, and other agents are allowed to watch what you're doing, and that sort of becomes your reputation, and that's part of the issue with the New York Rangers and how they've handled their players. And I don't think that Marty St. Louis wants to fall into that trap, nor does Kent Hughes want to fall into that.
And then with the Texier situation, obviously we're going with the best lineup. Let's say we take Gallagher out. I just don't feel like Texier belongs on the fourth line, though. You know, like I feel like he can contribute offensively. Like he's strong on the puck. Like he plays well defensively as well. So what do you do now? Like do you just switch the two players, or you take Texier and put him on the fourth line? That's another tough decision for me.
When let me ask you about I always love doing this one. When you look at the NHL right now, okay, and you think about, okay, you know what? I played in my era was my era. If you played in the NHL right now, Max, which team would you want to play on? Like, is there a team where you're like, maybe it is the Panthers, like Greg just mentioned, like, ooh, you know what? I'd fit right in there with the Cats. Is there a team that you look at and you go like, and financially too, you put more money in your jeans, you know, this is a tax-free state. Is there a team that you look at and you say, ooh, man, give me some of that. If I played in the NHL right now, give me some of that.
It's a good question. Obviously, I always have Montreal in my heart, but let's just play like the game a little bit. I feel like, well, on the coaching side, I would love to play for Bones again, because I had him in Vancouver, so Columbus would be fun. What a great coach this guy was.
He's having a hell of a time.
You know what? I feel like in my prime, I would be the player Edmonton would need. I feel like this is exactly what they would need on the third, fourth line. Bring some energy, physicality, like play well on the PK. I feel like that would be the spot, Edmonton.
I don't know, man. Hang on. I want to go back to Columbus. I want to see you playing alongside Mathieu Olivier and just like destroying teams and driving them crazy.
And one of my good friends, the goalie Elvis, is one of my good friends. I played with him in Lugano when I was in Switzerland at the end of my career. So, great guy. Yeah.
He honestly, I know. Listen. Merzlikins is a fascinating guy and a tremendous interview. What was he like as a teammate there?
It was great. Like, I mean, when I arrived there, I feel like when the management, the coaches, the general manager, they met with me, I feel like that was my project. You know, we got a good young goaltender, and we need somebody that played in the NHL to try to guide him a little bit, because he's so skilled. But you know what was unreal about him, guys, is he cared so much. He cared so much, like every single detail, but so much intensity, to a point that sometimes it was too much. He wanted to win too much, and this is what we needed to work on, because it was 5 hours before the game at the rink, training after, nervous that he wasn't going to win. He was puking between periods. So it was all about winning for him. And you could see there was something special, but just he needed to learn how to translate from Switzerland to the NHL, which is a different approach. And I mean, I was there for 4.5 years, and I feel like he grew a lot as a player and as a person. And let's not forget his background, guys, right? Like, tough life. His mom had to move, so they get a better life and all this. Like, so I feel like it's always important when you look at a teammate to understand who he is and where he's from, because not everybody's got that lucky life where your both parents are driving you to a hockey game and you got brand new gear and it's all fun and easy, you know. So yeah, when I learned who he was and his story, it was important for me to work with him and help him in his career.
You mentioned the Blue Jackets. I think the consensus right now is we've got Carolina, we've got Tampa, and now we probably have Buffalo as the three most competitive teams in the East. Who would be your fourth right now?
I'm going to look at the standings right now.
Obviously, I know.
I think Montreal.
It's not easy because, like, you do have that jumble behind those top three teams, and I'm not sure myself who jumps out at me as the team I'd be most concerned about.
There's a team that impressed me about 2 months ago when they played here in Montreal, and now it's not the same. But if they could find their game back, I feel like Detroit, they were solid at one point. Structure, fast pace, heavy, good goaltending. But now I feel like they lost confidence a little bit. But if they could find their game back, I feel like they have a good team. Detroit is a good team. Just now it's a tough downfall. It's not easy right now. They 4 wins in the last 10 games, so no, it's not easy.
They're a Todd McClellan team. Their natural habitat is the playoff bubble. They just want to get back there. They were too good.
Yeah,
McClellan's teams are always right around 7th or 8th. They got to get back to where they're comfortable.
Okay, let me close with this one. This one's going to have a sort of historical slant to it. So yesterday was the 30th anniversary of the final game at the Montreal Forum. And I can still remember the ovation that Maurice Richard got, which is one of the longest ovations in the history of the National Hockey League. Just an absolutely beautiful moment for Habs fans everywhere. Growing up in Montreal, who was your guy, Max? Like, did you have, like, even if it was like, because I was always a thrill when I could work, Montreal games for Hockey Night, and I would see Madame and Monsieur Beliveau. And I still remember the first time where Jean Beliveau walked past me in the hallway beside the room, and he said, hello, Mr. Beliveau, and he said, salut, Jeff, and I'm like, how does Jean Beliveau know my name? Like, it was the biggest thrill in the world.
Gentleman.
Oh, just the best. Did you have a favorite growing up in Montreal?
I think my generation was Patrick Roy. Obviously, we all wanted to be the goaltender outside playing hockey, ball hockey in the streets, and that was the superstar here. But for me, when I relate to the Canadiens and when I think about the logo, I always think about Maurice Richard. And you can see in the back here, I bought this a few years ago, the original jersey signed by Maurice and other players here. Like, I got a big picture of Maurice there on the other side. I feel like it represents what it is to be a Montreal Canadiens. It's hard work, dedication, love for the fans, love for the logo, always ready to face adversity. So yeah, I didn't have the chance to watch him play, obviously, but still remember going every game in Montreal. I would look up at the picture. It was right over my stall, and I would just basically talk to Maurice in my head, saying I feel like it's a privilege to be here. Can you help me tonight? I need a big game,
That's got to be such a cool thing. I've always talked about the ghosts of the Forum that still exist at the Bell Center. Like, I've always said to people, when I would say, "Oh, I'm a new hockey fan. What are the experiences I should have?" Saturday night, 7:01, lights go down, spotlight, the Tingles, Coldplay, all of it. Every fan's got to have it. Every fan's got to have it.
If I could go back in time, guys, and just live the 5 minute where I put the jersey on for the first time, there's nothing that compares to this. It's just unbelievable.
That's so cool.
The best.
So cool. Love to have his mindset too. But You still have the Habs mindset, by the way, because earlier in the conversation you said you want to contend for 14 years, not one. I'm like, that's the most Montreal thing this guy has said. we're not trying to win a cup. We're trying to win cups.
We're going to win 20. We're going to win 20 cups, not one. I know. To the point where when they award you the Stanley Cup, you don't touch it because you don't want to jinx next year. No, I'm not touching this cup. We're just gonna keep rolling. Thanks, Gary. You can hang on to it. We're coming back again. Max, thanks so much for doing this. Congratulations on the new program. Everything you're touching these days turns to gold. It's great to see. Thanks so much for this.
Thanks so much. You guys are great. Thanks for having me, and keep up the good work.
There he is. Thanks, Max Lapierre, former NHLer from La Poche Bleu, and with a new program as well, post Montreal Canadiens games. Hockey with an accent. So very much continuing to look forward to that program.
I don't know if you saw like the first episode of Max's podcast, but it's kind of like, I'm just going to flex all over these other nincompoops doing podcasts where he had like PK, Rick Nash, Scott Gomez. Like it was like an alumni game on this podcast. I'm just like, leave a little bit for the rest of us, man. Jesus.
Leave some morsels for the rest of us, us mortals. I'll tell you what, like, I know you joke at me about, junior hockey and stuff, but when he played in the Q, he lived to torture Sidney Crosby. In those games between Rimouski and the Rocket, like, he lived in Sidney Crosby's back pocket for 2 years, driving him absolutely nuts. They then became teammates with the Pittsburgh Penguins later on, but I just remember him just driving him crazy.
His answer about the Oilers.
Oh, big time, right?
If
you get Max Lapierre on that team,
like a prime Max Lapierre, and then there's like two more of them in their bottom six. Like there's a lot of things the Oilers are missing.
Oh yeah,
well, that's one of them. Like without question, like having some of those grunt work SOBs down the lineup to really kind of like thrive in a playoff series would have made them immeasurably better, especially in those matchups against the Panthers, right? That was a great answer for him.
He's a talented guy. It was always a great interview as well. Just awful. Like, again, like, I'm glad you brought up the Florida Panthers in the interview, because I look at the Florida Panthers like we all do and just say, like, check how many boxes of miserable hockey players to play against, and they're all on this one team. All right? And go ahead.
The 2010-2011 Vancouver Canucks had
miserable
Rafi Torres, Alex Burrows, Kevin Bieksa, Tanner Glass, who was an SOB, Kessler.
Was. Yeah.
Okay. And then eventually Lapierre joins them.
Yeah.
Like they were that again.
And
like that collection of players was just like a special brand of rink rat.
And you had who I consider two of the toughest players to ever play in the game. The Sedins. Yeah. Who got punched and kicked and slashed and cross-checked and kicked and never changed the way they played.
No.
Never changed you could do whatever you want to. I'm not changing. I'm going to change.
Just to fully reminisce, and I was thinking about this during some of the outpouring of affection for NBC's coverage of the Olympics. That was also their series against Boston when Mike Milbury called them Thelma and Louise.
Not a great moment. Not a great moment.
It wasn't a great moment for two reasons. One, because he's trying to emasculate them by comparing them to women, and that's just a terrible thing to say. But the other thing is that he picked two of the toughest women in the history of cinema as a way to try to emasculate the city. Like, what? Comparing them to Ripley from Aliens wasn't on the table, Mike? It was such an embarrassing moment.
And the Hamilton from Terminator? God. No, you want to go there? No.
Yeah, I know, right? Like a couple of Sarah Connor's out there. Okay, Mike, we get it.
Anything before you punt on today's program? Anything you want to?
Oh yeah, I wanted to bring up a couple of statistic things that I've noticed.
Okay. Yeah. This is good. This may take some time.
So, goals. We'll make it quick. Goals per game this season is up to 3.08. which is up from 3.01 last season. It's on par with 2 seasons ago. But the big change statistically is that this season is right now on track to be the lowest save percentage season since 1995-96. So a span of, 30 years, Marek, by my math? It's an 896 league-wide save percentage right now. There's a number of reasons why, including I think the tabulation of the stat, but something Kevin Woodley said a few years ago really stuck with me, which is that the younger generations of players coming into this league have decreased the number of easy shots that goaltenders face. Whether they be from the point or whatever. Shot selection of younger players is a big reason why save percentage is where it is.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Alain Vigneault was right. Now, first of all, let me ask you a question. When's the last time you had a conversation about shrinking the goalie equipment? Remember how that dominated what we like every single day we could do a show on shrinking goalie equipment. This was the scourge of the NHL.
Changing the posts. Remember that was a
God,
thing
yeah. It's like blend in.
Look more like parentheses so the pucks could sneak in. Yeah, we haven't had much of that discussion at all in this league.
No,
in the last few years.
And there was one coach who nailed it, like just nailed it, and that was Alain Vigneault. When he was asked about it was shrinking the goalie equipment, making the nets bigger, all that kind of stuff. He said, "Look, if you want more goals, the players have to go work on their shot. Goalies go work on their game, guys go lift. Now it's advantage shooter because everybody, and a lot of it is like tracking pre-shot movement and all these types of things now. But first of all, we had to stop believing the old God, and I believed it, and you probably believed it, and majority of people from our vintage believed it as well. The stupid notion that you can't teach touch. Yes, you can. Like I grew up believing stupidly that you were born a goal scorer. Oh, Mike Bossy was born to score goals. Yari Curry was born to score goals. Phil Esposito was born to never back check and score goals. Like, that's what we all believe because that's what we're all told, right? Like, oh yeah, you're just born. He just has a great shot. I guess, like, great goal. And then in this era, now that we know about when to shoot, how to shoot, where to shoot, it's the pendulum has swung back, and now it's advantage shooter. And we don't talk about shrinking the goalie equipment. The guys are just that much better, and that was Alain Vigneault's point. Go work on your game. It's too hard to score. Go work on your game. And that's what happened.
The other thing I wanted to mention.
Do you have another thing on games that go into overtime? I think you texted that one to me today. Okay, good. I want to pause on this one. Okay, go for it.
Okay. I got a good news, bad news thing for us right now when it comes to overtime.
Okay.
The good news is that 25.7% of all games are going to overtime. So over a quarter of the games are going to overtime. That is the most since the shootout. And I love me some 3-on-3 hockey. I'm a 3-on-3 guy. I know a lot of the people that are in the chat and listen to the show have differing opinions about 3-on-3, but I love it. Yeah. And I'm happy to see more of it. And I think the more games that go to overtime, the more maybe the people around the league will remember how important the previous 60 minutes of hockey are and eventually reward the winner of a regulation game 3 points. Wouldn't that be exciting? Now,
saving that for the new commissioner, and you know it. Saving that for the new commissioner, and you know it. It's, how that works.
And I'll keep on emailing Bill Daly and be like, when? Now, here's the bad news.
Okay.
According to the NHL stats, 65.1% of games are ending in overtime. That's a lot, but it is the lowest of the last 4 years and the second lowest of the last 11 years, which tells me, Marek, that as much as I love 3-on-3 hockey, I may be seeing too much of it because I'm seeing the full 3-on-3 hockey and then getting to see the scourge of the National Hockey League, the shootout afterwards. Far too often.
The fact that, so when you texted me that today, my first thought was, First of all, that's too many games going into overtime.
No, it's fine.
It is. It's too many games. Right now, as structured, and I know I am on a complete island on this one. I understand this is that picture of, the guy with the sword as 1,000 people are charging at him. That's me. I get that. To me, that says, as structured right now, this game is a game of ties. Or it's a game where ties should actually be here. Because as the game is played right now, if 25% of your game ends in a tie, it's a tie league. And right now, this is a tie league. If only 3/4 of it of the game is getting solved in the 60-minute regulation. Right now, this is a game of ties. I don't think the issue is what happens in overtime. I think the issue is the 5-on-5. What can you do to change that? To me, the sweet spot for overtime is 10%. 10% of your game, 10%. 10%. Make it really, really special. But that means that there is something for the 60 minutes that preceded that. That it's not just we're going to play 50-50 puck and take our chances in overtime, or maybe we're going to play 50-50 puck and take our chances on the power play. Because right now, this game is a tie game. If it's 25% of your games are going into overtime, that's too much. What's interesting is the issue there to me is what happens 5-on-5 for the 60. That's my issue.
25% is not in line with what it was recently statistically. The last two seasons have both been just under 21%. So this is a significant jump, but I'm with you, man. Like, listen, we all agree. I think there needs to be some incentive to win in regulation. But I also think that it is interesting, as Gary Bettman has noted, how many comebacks we have in this league now. And maybe the expenditure of energy is to get the tie. And now your needle is wobbling on E. You've done the job to get the tie, but you don't have enough gas left to get the lead. And that could be it too. As far as it being a tie league, is that we do have a lot of comebacks. We do have a lot of blown leads. We do have a lot of games where teams are earning points that maybe you didn't think they would because they were down multiple goals heading into the third period. But by expending all that energy to tie the game, they don't have the gas or the time left to take the lead.
For me, there are just some games that belong tied, that should be tied. Like, I'll look at them and go, like, no one really deserves to win this thing. I'm good with the tie. Like,
not that honestly, they both deserve to win it. Oh, wait. Okay, you are being positive about it. Okay,
yeah,
right.
Nobody deserved to win here. No one deserved to. No one deserved to win here. Like, how many we've all watched games when woof. Nobody deserves to win this one.
Okay. So you are being negative.
I am being negative. Yeah.
I watch games where I'm like,
they both deserve to win.
Deserve 2 points. But you're watching games, you're just like, these teams, they just
it happens, man. Like, not like there's some games that are just dogs. Okay, like, I'm sorry. Like, you look at them. Like, first of all, I'm not going to gross about the schedule and the amount of games that they play in this league every year. But like, there are just some games where you're just like, man, if this weren't my job, I don't know that I'd still be watching this thing right now, this deep into the third period. Some games just belong tied, just deserve to be tied.
Yeah.
For me, anyhow. But then
there you go. So scoring up, save percentage historically down.
Yep.
Overtime games, the largest percentage of overtime games in the shootout era, but 65% of them are ending in overtime and the rest are ending in the dreaded shootout. So too many shootouts.
So as always, something cool, the 3-on-3 overtime, wrecked by coaches. Which goes back to my original idea. You and I talked about this on the old program. When this thing started, the smartest thing they could have said was, we're introducing 3-on-3 overtime, and even before the puck drops, the entire coaching staff has to leave the bench.
Has to leave, yeah. And wouldn't that be fun?
Let the players decide it. Coaches walk off the bench.
Staff.
Yes.
Amazing.
We have
play baby elephant walk. Yeah, as they leave the bench.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Come on, man.
I'm not a
play the A&W root beer theme.
How does that go?
Bum 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 bum.
Anything like Souza adjacent should play as they're leaving the bench. But here's the thing. I'm not a 3-on-3 purist if such a thing could exist. I am in favor of trying to develop rules that encourage more game flow in the 3-on-3 and having teams not treat it like they're playing for the Red Army and including the goaltender and all that jive. Like I'm fine if you want to like make sure they can't waste time on the 3-on-3, but God damn it, I love the 3-on-3. I'm not going to hear anything to the contrary about how it's garbage or gotten super boring. One missed shot leads to 90 seconds of pure chaos that I want to inject into my veins.
I like the 3-on-3, but not too much of it.
Yeah,
it's like it. You know what? It's like, remember Chipwich? Remember they introduced chocolate Chipwich? Pretty smug, too chocolatey, too much, too much. Just give
and especially
just give me a little.
I should mention that I am the biggest fan of the 3-on-3 because it's the reason why Jack Hughes was able to score the gold medal winning goal in Milan.
Back. I ain't gonna tell you how to celebrate.
Bring glory to my country of hockey.
I ain't gonna tell.
Before it was somewhat tarnished by the activities that followed therefore afterwards.
Never mind. PWHL's killing it, man. Their attendance is up. They're selling out buildings. They're carrying that momentum.
Can I mention something to you about that? I don't know if I mentioned this in the show.
What's up?
I wrote a story about how the PWHL sold out Madison Square Garden for their game coming up, and one of the people involved with the Sirens told me that the Olympic wave was one of the reasons why. And the PWHL reached out to be like, well, actually, we were near a sellout before the Olympics. I'm just like, why are we pushing back against the idea that the Olympics had a incredible positive effect on women's hockey? I found that to be like, give us our just desserts. We're a real league. I'm like, of course you are, but
of course you are. But here's
where women's hockey is right now.
Again, but the challenge now for the PWHL is, can they make a star? Because right now, all the stars in that league were made by the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's going to be the challenge for the PWHL.
But I don't think that's bad. I don't think it's any
no. I don't think it's bad either.
Soccer leagues whose biggest stars were made in the World Cup.
That's fine.
Or made in international play. Like that's how it works for some of these leagues.
That's all fine. And that's all good, but let's not run away from the fact that there is a wind, a wind beneath the wings of women's hockey right now, and a lot of it is fueled right now at this moment by the Olympics, how it was played, that final game, and how everybody on the women's side paid strict attention to what the most important thing was, and they didn't light something stupid on fire in the process.
I think there's also a thing that's happening that's important, and maybe I just spend too much time on Threads versus like Twitter. But to bring it full circle to the beginning of the show in the attention economy, like there are clearly some people that prefer to watch the PWHL than the NHL because they simply like the players better in the PWHL.
Yes.
For various reasons, but for obvious reasons. And I think that can't be ignored as far as the growth of that league and why it's so popular. And that's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's always going to come back to the players, folks. It's always going to come back to, do you want to spend time with these people? And if you do spend time with these people, what will they do to entertain you? And I think both leagues are in a very good place. And I think in particular, the PWHL is in a good place for that very reason.
All right. On that, we'll let you continue your victory lap here with your cat in the hat chapeau.
Man, Jack Hughes.
You sleep in that thing?
By the way, congratulations to Fanatics. They finally have Team USA jerseys restocked weeks after the Olympics, so people can buy their Team USA stuff. I don't know how they don't have that stuff stocked.
You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about it a while ago, and then I rethought this like almost immediately after Jack Hughes scored. Think before there was, this, sports memorabilia and sports clothing economy right now that exists. Is the Miracle on Ice, like that one game, the biggest blown chance to move sports merch in the history of hockey?
Yeah.
Like if you had to monetize, like even 72 wouldn't have done it in Canada. But that moment, that game between the Soviet Union and the United States. If like, because my kid went and played in the Lake Placid tournament a couple years ago, and there's still like tons of tables of merch and all this. I remember thinking like, man, they really missed out in 1980, but there really wasn't that type of like sports economy at that point. But was that the most amount of money that hockey has left on the table?
Easily, because you're talking Jim Craig and Mike Eruzione jerseys.
Yes,
you're talking like do you believe in miracles T-shirts. You're talking even like commemorative plates with the picture of the Americans celebrating the win. Remember how they used to have commemorative plates?
Listen,
they used to sell them on TV, and like
I'm still the guy
number, and it's like
I like the World Juniors better when they handed out a plate instead of a trophy. I love plates as like championships. I love plates. I'll take plates.
First of all, commemorative plates were a thing. You call a number on the television. There's a limited number of them, so you need to get your plate. Yeah. But to your point, listen. I like two things in the sports. Okay, I like trophies you can drink from, which is very important and what separates the Stanley Cup from other trophies. But I also love a giant plate
that you can eat off.
And no better example of that is Wimbledon. Like holding up the giant Wimbledon plate.
Yes,
is amazing. Like, what
and now we eat,
because not only do you win this amazing award from this historic venue, but then I think about Serena Williams at a dinner party. She's got a roast turkey on this thing, and I'm like, what a flex! By the way, this roast turkey, it's resting on my championship from Wimbledon.
So
People
good.
We're all applauding Serena. You were amazing at hosting dinner parties.
Do they do the fast? Because I don't know. This is probably a question for Shayna because she's a hardcore tennis fan. Do they have the same type of fascination with what you eat off the Wimbledon plate as we do with what do you drink out of the Stanley Cup?
I tend to believe that the example I've just given was plucked from my own mind, and that these people do not serve food.
But you would. I would. Like, wouldn't we all?
I don't.
Are we just slobs?
Like I might be wrong, but I don't think there's a tradition of them like running outside and putting the chocolate-covered strawberries on the plate. I think the plate is pristine. I think they treat it like a giant gold medal.
Oh,
I think.
Yeah, I don't like
that. I
might
be wrong.
If the NHL swapped out the cup for a plate right now, dudes would be eating off it and doing other stuff off it.
You could. All the official photography is them eating like spaghetti off the plate, and then as soon as the photographers leave,
clean it off,
they sign that thing up, and now we're using it. Now we're partying in Miami again, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Anywho, you have a good continued celebration there, Captain America. We'll talk next week.
Bye.
All right, Greg Wyshynski, ESPN, ESPN.com. There we go. Hello, Zach. By the way, Zach is in prison. By the way, Zach has been lying to us this whole time. Yeah. He's really in jail right now. If you're listening right now on your favorite podcast platform, we encourage you to watch the YouTube version of this program just to see Zach in prison. What'd you do?
Yeah, free food.
What are you in
dental
for?
Care, and they let me watch hockey, so that's good enough for me. That's all I need. That's all I need. Jeff.
Well, so Nick Caroli set this up at a prison. Are you like in Toronto?
Exactly.
Are you in like Kingston, Saskatoon, somewhere in Manitoba? Like any other famous criminals nearby?
Yeah, exactly. No, but during the course of the show, I did find out, like, I'm learning all these new things about this place and what to plug in and where not to plug in and stuff. So apparently one of the outlets may not work because the one light that I had something plugged into, it has turned off. So that outlet may not work. I'll have to figure that out. Okay. And then I've learned that if the sun hits the building beside me at a very specific angle, it reflects directly through my window, and I will disappear into the wall behind me. So that could happen at any moment. And those things will need to be sorted out over the next couple of days, yes. Because there's a spot that this sun hits that I have now learned, and it hits and comes directly through my window onto the side of my face. And I was sitting here, and I just looked like I was the Phantom of the Opera. You could see like the white on the left side, and then the rest of my face on the other.
Just amuse us and say like Christine. No, can you give us like a good bellowy Christine? No.
No. Maybe I'll hit you with one of those at some point. Just bring it out of nowhere.
All I ask of you. Man, I love the film.
You know, my parents made me watch that when I was younger.
It's great.
There would be times where the only thing I could remember is I think it's like the Phantom of the Opera is inside your mind. that line just stuck with me. Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Exactly.
Well, on that lovely note, the sheet is powered by FanDuel. Play your game with FanDuel. It's the NHL season, and FanDuel is your home for all the action on the ice. From Blue Line to Bet Slip, we've got you covered all season with unique promos, live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. Missed puck drop? No sweat there. With the live same-game parlay, you can build your bets up until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly, 18 plus, and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. The Phantom of the Toronto Maple Leafs, the one and only Zach Phillips.
Well, I did move in here yesterday. It was a long day. Had to pick the U-Haul up near my parents' house, load it up.
Did you have to wear the cuffs on the way in? Did they like perp walk you in? How did that wear? Orange jumpsuit? How do they do things
sat
in
in the bench
Ontario
in the
here?
back, and exactly.
Yeah. Screw.
Got everything down here, loaded up into the apartment, and then once you're done that, you have to drop off the U-Haul, and you're still not done because at that point now you've got to put everything together. It was a long day. Didn't go to bed until 1:30, 2 o'clock, and you know, my girlfriend, she just said, once the bed was done, she said, that's it, you know, I'm going to bed. And you know, Jeff, at some point, all I wanted to hear was, Zach, the way you made this bed is perfect, because I spent all day putting it together, Jeff.
Zaka Bedard Perfetti. Zach
that
bed
one was a stretch.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Pavel Zaka.
This one was a stretch. This one was bad. This one was bad. This one
No,
was a
it's
real
okay.
stretch.
You personalize it. Give us a little peek in the behind the curtain about what's happening with your life and your girlfriend as well. So Pavel Zaka, Connor Bedard, and Cole Perfetti. All I want to hear is Zach. The way you made this bed is perfect.
It was supposed to be like a sigh of relief, but yeah, I failed on that. Zach, yeah.
$5.
Because I was in there swearing at the bed last night, trying to piece it together, and then finally
150. Were you Captain Allen Key last night? Is that where you were?
Yeah, there's going to be some more of that coming up in the next couple of hours because not everything was finished. So there's like a dining table and the TV stands and all those kinds of things that got to be put together. But yeah, the Allen Key taking apart the bed, loading the truck, the Allen Key putting together the bed. Yeah, those were all exercised yesterday. I don't want to ever see an Allen Key after this weekend.
One day, both of you will look back on the years where you struggled, and those will be your greatest memories. They don't feel like it at the time, but the struggles are the memories. $5 wins $158.73 cool cents. Zach, before we end the program here today, anything from today's episode, maybe something from Max as well, who was fantastic. Anything jump out at you from today?
Yeah, Max was fantastic. I appreciated that. Him jumping on here with us, and obviously the Hockey with an Accent show. I caught a little bit of it last night while I was just listening to it in my headphones, trying to get everything completed. The guest list, by the way, just shout out to them for what they did. They had PK Subban and Scott Gomez on together. They had Bieksa and JS Giguère on together, and then after that they rolled out Rick Nash and Matthew Darche. That's how they opened the post-game show, and I'm sitting there like, I do a post-game show where it's me yelling and screaming
and
then
smelling
the Rosie
salts
pops on every now and then.
You have
and
smelling salts. Yeah.
And then the
That's
Habs
good.
post-game show is rolling out that guest list.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
this is the
he's going to
comparables.
have the ghosts of Rocket Richard and Jacques Plante
Yeah, exactly.
on the program.
And I'm going to have the next door inmate come on later and let me know his thoughts.
Going to talk about Alan McCauley from the glory years for him. Should have won that year. All right, great stuff.
Just quickly, though, one thing he said, I just want to point out, I thought it was interesting how he talked about staying to the plan, sticking to the plan for Kent Hughes and the mojo of the team, because I think there's a lot to speak to when you talk about the chemistry and the bonds in the room. And you guys brought up the fact that Texier is sitting there. You're already probably going to have to make a tough decision, as you guys kind of outlined.
Oh, man, Gallagher.
You're going to make more. You're going to take more people out. Not to say these guys aren't pros and can't handle it, but you're early on. You're young. Like, experience this. Like, let's try this thing together and then see where it's at in the summer.
This is what you want. Right? You want your coach to be forced into like really, really hard decisions, like sitting down a veteran like Brendan Gallagher and saying, I don't know that you're going to play for the next little while. That can only mean that things are going well for the Montreal Canadiens. And you know me, like I could talk about like Habs lore forever, especially with people that played there. Like the one thing that I'm going to take out of that interview that's going to be with me forever is when he talked about sitting in the Habs dressing room and looking at and talking to Rocket Richard. I'm a sucker for that shit.
Pretty cool.
Sorry, man. I'm a sucker for that stuff. Oh, man. It's so good. So good. Okay, thanks to Max for stopping by the program today. Zach, excellent job both moving and navigating through a build of your studio and getting the show on the air. So thank you. And I hope you enjoyed the joke that I told you yesterday afternoon to help break the mood as I'm that was my gift to you on moving day. Thanks to you for watching. Thanks to you for listening. Thanks to you for chatting. If you've subscribed to our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel, thank you. If you haven't, please consider doing so. We are back tomorrow. Is Dave on with us tomorrow? Or are we waiting on our other two guests? Is Dave on too?
We're waiting on the other two, but I told him there's some stuff in the air here.
Stuff in the air. We got some stuff in the air. We're going to see how it goes here. So we'll put it this way. Either way, you're going to like tomorrow's program. Trust me. So tune in tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern for the sheet here with yours truly. And I can't say the cast of thousands that like Max is producing on, with an accent. But still, we do our best around here. We've got a limited budget, but we do our best. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Back tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern for the sheet. Jeff Marek along with you. Hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for the sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a puppy. It's true.